mode.
Welcome back to another session of the Motionsoft Technology Summit webinar series. We've got a good one for you and very relevant with what's happening in the mobile space. Say hello to John Ford, CEO of Netpulse. He's going to be leading Branded Gym Apps Are Dead, Long Live Branded Gym Apps. And the cool thing is, this is actually the first post-Motionsoft Technology Summit session that we've run since the Motionsoft Technology Summit that we just held in September. Next slide, please. That's a little shot of the Sphinx Club in Washington, D.C., where we just concluded our event. About 150 CIOs, CTOs, and CFOs from some of the biggest brands in fitness attended. And I hope next year on October 1st through 3rd in Washington, D.C., you'll join us as well. I'll be sending out a special invitation for you to do just that. And I am Todd Tweedy, your moderator for the Motionsoft Technology Summit and VP of Marketing for Motionsoft. I'm so glad you can make it here today. And I gotta say thanks to our friends over at Club Industry and the operators of the Club Industry Show for sponsoring this session today. And we really appreciate their support. Hey, just a quick little heads up on some upcoming sessions. Next week, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, you don't want to miss. This is going to be a big one. If you could, just please join us. Philip Roche-Landler, the CEO of eGym, is going to be talking about making the gym work for everyone. So if you're thinking about 2018 member experience planning and strategies, this is kind of the framework, kind of the stepping stone to help you kind of think about technology and what technology is going to look like for your members and for the clubs in 2018. So registration link will be coming out very shortly. I hope you can join us. All right, getting closer here. For asking questions, I think it's really simple, but let's go ahead and use the question interface inside of the control panel. If you could please just type "Hello, John" into the question framework. It's that little gray thing. If you just click on it, it's a drop down, and then you can just type in your question. Fantastic, thank you. Excellent, Michelle, thank you for your post. All right, here we go. On to our presenter for today, Mr. John Ford. Kind of interesting, John started his career in fitness technology as the founder of Virtual Active. It was a first-person running, hiking, and what I like, cycling video experience. It was distributed to millions of exercisers around the world. And then I think John kind of got tired of wearing camera gear on his head and running around with mobile technology. But now that's what he's doing. He's using mobile technology that's helping clubs engage with members, drive revenue, enhance the club experience. If you could, please welcome the CEO of Netpulse, John Ford. John, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks very much, Todd. Really excited to join you today. And I think I have some interesting topics. So as you're all aware after the intro, Netpulse is in the business of providing white label mobile apps for gyms. And I thought an interesting topic for today would be the massive disruption of the gym mobile app market, just recently introduced by Apple's policy changes around the App Store and the acceptance of apps. So lots of stuff going on here in white label mobile to talk about. So these are some excerpts from the updated policies that Apple introduced this summer. And essentially, to summarize, what they're saying is, if you're in the business of building a single app code base and then taking that app and skinning it for other businesses to use as their own, then you're going to need to think about your business model, because this type of app is actually no longer permitted in the App Store. And so obviously when this policy came down, there was quite a bit of anger and confusion amongst white label mobile app providers, because there are actually white label mobile app providers across a variety of different spaces. So restaurants, conventions and events, lots of different industries that have pretty significant companies with hundreds of people employed doing white label apps. And so another thing that was interesting was the diversity of the perspectives that we saw coming out of this decision. And Nate here, who's just a tech blogger, is showing one of those perspectives, which is essentially that Apple's doing this for a very reasonable purpose, which is to try to help clean up the App Store. But ultimately, his opinion is they're trying to remove these poor cloned apps, but in the process, they're damaging a lot of businesses that really do provide value both for end users and for their business customers. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have Lawrence Coburn from Double Dutch. And Double Dutch is a very well-known, large venture-backed event app provider. And his perspective on this is more along the lines of, awesome, this is a huge opportunity for us to all rethink the way that our most templated, simple white label apps, white label experiences are delivered. And so I think that Netpulse is much more aligned with Lawrence on this one. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how we see these changes impacting the market. I have it on the next slide, but I wanted to say first and foremost, before I even jump in, all of our existing Netpulse customers are essentially grandfathered in per the policies. So there's going to be no changes required for anyone who's already on the Netpulse platform. So if you're on already, congratulations. Nothing to worry about for the foreseeable future. If that ever changes, which of course with Apple is always possible, we'll definitely keep you updated. But in terms of the marketplace going forward and what it looks like for those who are looking to get a mobile app or integrate mobile into their strategy, at the enterprise level, we have customers who are already operating highly customized mobile applications today. So most enterprise applications, and when I say enterprise, I mean large chain or health club chain organizations, the Gold's Gyms and 24-hour fitnesses of the world. Those guys have undertaken 6-month plus projects to customize their mobile applications, to build custom functionality into them, to customize the UI. And many of them actually keep full-time staff, a full-time mobile development team on staff, continuing to modify and enhance their custom mobile app. So essentially, these policies just don't apply to those custom apps. They're already not templated, and therefore no impact. Where it gets interesting is in the mid-market and the small business segments. And when we say mid-market, there are exceptions, but we're typically talking about mid-size regional chains, operators with 5 to 30 plus clubs, who are typically using a standardized app, but are often some of our best customers and some of the most engaged with respect to leveraging add-ons, additional services that drive ROI for them and really integrate it into their experience. And for these players, we see that there's going to be a good opportunity to take mid-market players in the future and provide more customization, so that we can provide a better experience, as well as to make sure that their apps are still bespoke apps and compliant with the new policies. And then in the small business segment, we have most of our customers using just basic apps that cover the basics. These are customers with little to nearly non-existent budget for technology. And here we see a big opportunity for these small businesses to embrace a new type of delivery for their mobile experience, their member mobile experience, and that's the concept of the universal app. So the universal app I'll get into in a second. The way that we're responding to this is custom apps are going to get more custom. So we're going to continue investing deeply in customizing our enterprise apps. And also, we think that providers will find efficient ways to customize for that mid-range of customer to make sure that we keep affordable custom solutions for those who want to maintain their bespoke app in the future. But universal apps is a new concept I was wanting to jump to, and that's this opportunity for the smaller businesses to substantially lower cost and have a much more manageable app that gets deployed faster with better update cycles. And essentially what's happening is for a universal app, there's a single generically branded app, and that app changes its branding and its configuration and features and settings to those of the club after the user is identified. And so I'm just going to quickly run you through what that looks like from a user perspective and what we believe to be the primary use case. So you would be onboarding a member. Say a member just joined, you're a single club operator, a member just joined your facility. You would be walking them through all of the typical onboarding things that you do. And what we've found from our customers, and I'm sure this applies everywhere, is that if you tie the app download into your member onboarding process, you're way more successful with driving digital engagement across the board. And I guess that's kind of common sense, right? You get a lot more downloads and people therefore know about the app and use it. And so in that process, when you're onboarding members, your rep would tell them about the mobile app and have them download it as the tool that they use to interact with the club. And in this path, they would hit a splash page that essentially tells them, hey, this is a branded page, by the way, for the club that tells them, hey, you're about to download the Joe's Gym fitness app powered by Netpulse. They would then click, yes, give me the app. That would take them to the App Store, where they would find the generically branded app, in this example, Netpulse. This is the one non-branded screen that they see, is this app download screen. After they click install and open the app, we will automatically brand the experience to the club even prior to them logging in. And then once they're inside, they of course have pretty much identical experience to the previous standardized Netpulse app experience. And so we think that's again a good opportunity for smaller businesses to get access to the app at a much lower price and in a much more manageable way. So budget is a big concern for those guys. So I think it's a win for them. So the end result is that we think enterprise apps are going to get more differentiated than ever before. There's going to be a lot more focus on customization, which I think is good for everyone and good for the industry. I think truly customized apps will start to become more accessible to the mid-market, mid-range budget customers, which is exciting. And again, I think there's a powerful new model that's possible for those with very little budget. On the vendor side, what this means is that things continue to get more complicated, and the Apple changes really just pile on to a bunch of trends in digital for clubs over the last 5 to 10 years that are all adding to the complexity. So the breadth of digital strategies is increasing. What I mean by that is clubs and customers want to do more and more with digital. So every year there are more and more use cases that customers are wanting to cover with their digital technology, including their mobile app. The number of tools that are being used by a single gym customer these days are increasing dramatically. We have customers that are using dozen plus different software tools, many of which are member facing. And what this ultimately means is that on the vendor side, integration is becoming increasingly important. So from our perspective, at least on the vendor side, more complication really means more cooperation is necessary amongst the vendors. And we feel very strongly about that. And it's a good segue into my next topic, which is digital training. And I'm going to talk about digital training in the concept of the partnership between Netpulse and eGym, but a lot of the things I'm going to say are universally applicable. So eGym, for those of you who haven't been introduced yet, by the way, as Todd mentioned, Philip, the CEO of eGym, is speaking very soon, and you should absolutely sign up for that webinar because he's going to take a deep dive into eGym and their philosophies and why and how they do what they do. I'm going to give more of an overview here and keep it relevant to my specific topic on digital training, but I do want to give you an overview on who they are. They're a digital training company who has the goal, the mission of making the gym work for everybody. And so that involves a couple of different primary products for them. One is the eGym Cloud, which is a way to connect all of the equipment inside of your club and sort of aggregate all the data, make all the data useful for members, for trainers, for club administrators, etc. The other is their digital strength line. And so they have quite an extensive line of digital strength training equipment, which you see in the picture here. And this equipment is designed to make it very easy to work out, very fun to work out, and to use the data that's generated to motivate you to work out better and more often. So the integration with eGym is really first around their member-facing functionality. So, eGym has all of these digital products, and so of course they needed an eGym member app so that members could interact with all of their different products. And what we're doing in integration is we're going to take key functionality around workout tracking from the eGym native mobile app and embed that directly in the Netpulse apps such that it's going to be available to everyone on the Netpulse platform. So what you see on the screen here is a couple of screenshots of in-progress development on those native interfaces within the Netpulse application. We already have app-to-app linking integration complete and live in production with multiple customers today, where the Netpulse app is talking to the eGym app and exchanging data back and forth. But the next step for us, which I think is a big one, is we're going fully native here. So that's going to allow Netpulse customers to select from a library of 1,000+ exercises to build their workouts, to receive workouts from trainers, and workout plans from the club, and to record all of that exercise right in the Netpulse app and have it interact with all of the other Netpulse functionality. And one of the reasons why this is great is because in this type of partnership, getting back to the topic of complexity driving the need for vendors to cooperate, everyone's really focused on what they do best, which is eGym does digital training and Netpulse does a highly configurable mobile platform. And we're inviting a lot of other vendors to this party. So lots of good conversations going on around the vendor side around how do we develop together a unified experience to get all these technologies working together in a better way. So I wanted to cover, you may have seen the press release recently about my personal involvement at eGym and taking a leadership role in eGym North America alongside my duties with Netpulse. And there's a deep sales partnership alongside the product integration between the companies. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why we felt it was correct to bet on eGym and what they're doing in digital training that really I think is unique, that makes them different from other digital training things that we'll also talk a little bit about. So I believe there are 5 key ingredients to someone being successful in the gym. If I'm a gym member, a mass market customer, not an expert, I need you to tell me what to do, make it possible for me to do it. And this covers things like making sure it's easy to understand and execute, and I have the tools and the space available to me. I need to be motivated to do it. Over time, I need to see real results or I'm going to drop off because it's not worth my time. And most importantly, I think I need to make sure that I never feel uncomfortable or stupid while I'm doing it. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, of course not all, the classic gym experience does not deliver on those 5 things. A typical experience is I'm going and signing up for Joe's Gym. I walk in, I'm a deconditioned individual, which is 80% of the world. I have no idea what to do. I get insufficient onboarding. The tools and resources that I need are all around me, but they intimidate me because I don't understand them, and I essentially just don't know how to use the gym, and I fail. And I think that first and foremost, it is intimidation that drives demotivation of exercisers. So, there's been a big trend over the last decade towards softening the brands of gyms and, making sure that the gym environment is not a place for judgment and these sorts of things. And they've all been really effective, I believe, in getting more people in the door. But the next step beyond getting them in the door is how do we actually get those deconditioned people to be successful with their exercise in a scalable way? And one of the things that we've seen is that I've often heard this statement: beginners like to do cardio, right? And I don't think it's so much that beginners really love cardio. I think beginners coming into the gym, they want to get fit. That's their goal. And when they look at the gym and they see this room on the right crammed with dozens of different pieces of equipment that they have no idea how to use or even approach, and then on the left they see the possibility to engage with a single machine like a treadmill or an elliptical that has a big green quick start button right on it. Go jump on that bad boy for half an hour and check the box that I did a workout and feel good about myself. Of course they're not going to do strength training. Of course they're going to go left, right? And that's unfortunate because as fitness experts, we all know that one of the best ways to ensure long-term benefits and fitness improvements, whether it's weight loss or anything else, is to gain muscle. And so these users are really set up to fail from day one, and that's what they're doing. And so as an industry, classically, we've failed to provide a solution for a very large percentage of the population, including of our member population. And that's because our solution to the problem is typically PT. And PT is a good solution to the problem. It does solve all of those boxes, but it's not scalable because it's really expensive. It's expensive to provide, and therefore is expensive to the customer. And so just a quick chart here, and basically my point is, unless you can say yes to one of the two questions, I'm willing to commit hundreds of dollars a month to PT, or I'm comfortable exercising all by myself, then you're going to fail, and you're in this top left quadrant. And the majority of the population is in that top left quadrant. And this was classically the case. And now I want to talk about some things that gyms have been doing recently that are non-digital, over the last 10 years that have really made some progress in the right direction and are moving the needle with expanding the market. And I think the most obvious example is group exercise. I know what to do because there's an instructor in the room telling me what to do. The tools that I need are all in the room. Usually they're quite simple if there are any. They're often classes for my level and guidance around how to pick classes, which means I can do it. There's a social element and high energy music that's motivating. So the motivation, check that box. And the workouts are generally fairly high intensity, and I have the people around me urging me on to perform better, and therefore if I attend group classes regularly, I usually do see real results. And so group exercise is a solution that checks all of those boxes, and that's why I think it's exploded over the last 10, 15 years, because it's a good product. It solves all of the problems. So why talk about digital solutions then, if we're saying that Group X and small group training, for example, or personal training for those who can afford it are good solutions to the problem? And the reason is that we're still not covering it. We're still not covering most of the mass market, and lots of reasons for that. PTs cost hundreds of dollars per month, so cost prohibitive for a lot of people. With respect to group, not everyone loves the group aspect or finds it motivating. It's one of the challenging things about solving for what I would call the chronic disease of inactivity, is that it's almost like cancer, in that if if you want to solve it, you can come up with a solution, but it's only going to work on specific types. And they're really, because motivation is such a huge part of the problem and people are motivated by different things, you really need a broad tool set to address it for the mass market. And then lastly, there's a convenience issue. So both PT, Group X, and small group training, all of these programs are good products that are appointment-based. And so appointment-based programs are far less convenient. I have to go at a specific time. If I miss my session that week, do I drop off? All of these are additional barriers for users. And lastly, group exercise is space intensive to scale. So just a challenge from an operator perspective, and it's often difficult to scale it into time slots that are outside peak because there's a cost associated with that class, and so it's just it makes it difficult to offer it to as many people as you would like to. So there's been lots of recent action. That's why digital. There's been a lot of recent action over the last few years, and even the last few months on digital training solutions as a solution to these problems. And I wanted to cover a couple of those. So 24-Hour Fitness Go is a really cool app launched by one of our customers, and they're doing media for working out, so guided coaching. And then very recently, you might have seen the PR about Gold's Gym's AMP app. And so this is a very cool audio coaching app that you can select your different programs and execute them with a coach talking you through the workout. So these tools are awesome. I think they solve a real problem and they add a lot of value. They're primarily focused at solving the problem of the user figuring out what to do, right? And there's also a motivational component, of course. They make it easy to work out wherever the user is. So, extending the brand outside of the walls, for example. They're obviously giving professional guidance, which is leading to more effective workouts. They're giving people new ideas on how to work out, so mixing it up and keeping the workouts motivational. But one issue is that although these are great products and they are driving value, the media and the audiovisual coaching is not enough for a good chunk of the market. And I'll cover a couple reasons for that. Essentially, the current app-based digital training tools, they're primarily working for those who I would say are at least moderately competent. So they're the people in your club that aren't necessarily experts, but they're also not embarrassed to go to the gym. They kind of know their way around a little bit, and they just love getting some motivating instruction to help them work out better, or to have them try something new, or to give them the convenience of doing a workout off hours at home. Audiovisual digital training programs, in my opinion, are not enough to get most mass market beginners comfortable doing many strength or functional training exercises. So novices, people who are really just starting out, they're going to still be embarrassed trying to figure out how to use these things, even if they recently watched a video. It just doesn't really work as well as, unfortunately, we would like it to. And they also don't want to be on the gym floor checking a device constantly, rewatching videos to try to check their form. And so this is, to get to the kind of conclusion here, the reason why we're betting on eGym, which is they are solving, or I should say we are solving, the hardest problem in fitness tech. They've created essentially a quick start simple full body workout solution. So the eGym machines tell me as a user exactly what to do. Right there on the console that's 12 inches from my face while I'm on the strength machine. There aren't any settings to remember. There's no weights to remember. I don't have to type a login. Crystal clear on-screen guidance down to the pace of my repetitions. And then all of the data streaming off the machines is used to motivate me both during the experience, for example, by telling me that I just hit a high score on one of my reps, and after the experience to show me the progress that I'm making over time. And again, most importantly, the machines are so stupid simple to use that I just never have to feel uncomfortable. I can be onboarded onto these machines in 15 minutes one time, and I never need to think again. I just sit down and swipe in. And so this is a tool that we believe can really help to address this solution gap. And what I'm showing you here is just a chart that's basically saying, you know, in terms of the customer base that you have in your club, you know, X percentage of them, 10 or less, are buying personal training. Another 10 or less are experts and just don't need any guidance. They're just renting equipment from you, essentially. And then the remainder are these more mass market customers who actually are willing to spend some money on additional services and on getting guidance and getting better results. They're just not necessarily willing to, out of the gate, spend $300, $400, $500 or more, depending on your facility, on personal training. And so by incorporating technology, we think there's an opportunity to provide a digital training-based, in-gym, not app-based solution that can help meet the needs in a more economical way for these mass market customers and cover that gap. And we also believe that people will pay to solve their problems. So there are gyms with eGym running now that are upcharging the eGym and making money on people getting digital training programs. So this is working in practice today, and it's something we're really excited about expanding. So that concludes the presentation. Looking forward to any questions that you guys might have. Again, make sure to get registered for Philip's talk next week, where he's going to take a much deeper dive into eGym.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much, John. Attendees, this is your chance to pose questions to John using the question interface inside of the control panel. I'll give you a second to pose your questions on mobile strategies. And specifically, John, maybe while our attendees are thinking about composing their questions, I'm curious, what should my mobile app do?
Yeah, so it's got to cover the basics, which is checking into the club, showing my member the group exercise schedules and program schedules that I have, allowing them to book into those classes conveniently, allowing me the basics of, if I have multiple locations, helping me find locations, finding classes within those different locations easily. All those sort of operational features are really the key features that everybody needs. And then once you have those things in place, by default, your app becomes a tool for members to interact in the most basic ways with your gym, and that leads to engagement. So they're then opening your app on a regular basis. Once they're opening your app on a regular basis, you have a big opportunity to engage them even further with things like incentivizing them to track their workouts in the app and set goals in the app, so that they're really bringing their fitness experience into the digital world and interacting with you there. And once you have that higher level of engagement, then you are ready to start monetizing that engagement. And so you have a base of highly engaged users. You can then add in features like referrals, rewards, incentivizing referrals, and take advantage of all of that engagement you have with your app to have your members on a regular basis referring their friends in a really seamless way to your club. There are also ways to offer digital deals through the app or market your other services. So lots of different sort of e-commerce-ish opportunities to do once you have that engaged audience. So those are the key things.
And what's the time horizon to go from an engaged app user to a monetizing phase?
So it doesn't take long. If you do your app launch correctly and are really pushing it in club, and you're pushing it to all your new members that you're onboarding, then it's a couple of months and you'll have a solid user base on the app and be ready to start monetizing.
Awesome. Well, hey, John, I got a question from Mickey who asks, we're considering an app for our facility. Are there any plans to integrate with MyZone?
Yeah, in fact, we have a MyZone integration today. So, and I actually have just been recently talking to the MyZone apps about taking that integration even deeper. But yeah, today it already works. The data that you generate with the MyZone belt flows into the Netpulse application and will contribute to, for example, a Netpulse points program that you have running or a goal that someone set in their Netpulse app. So yeah, working well today, and even excited to take it even deeper going forward.
I guess that's one of the benefits of being the market leader, which kind of transitions us into Emily's question. And Emily asks, who is your competition in the market? Is there anyone else who's doing this?
Yeah, there are a couple of other companies that are offering mobile applications for gyms, but I would say that specifically in the customized app space, where we have a fairly unique value proposition. So if you're an organization who's looking for a really bespoke customized app, we have the team and infrastructure and architecture of our product is built to provide such a solution. And so we're pretty uniquely positioned to do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. Let me get back to mobile apps in the club and working with members. And I'm curious, what exercises work best in a mobile format?
So yeah, I mean, I guess exercises that are working well in a mobile format. Todd, are you asking about the coaching coming through in a mobile format, and which one should be included in that format?
Exactly. I'm just kind of leading into coaching and specifically exercises to introduce into mobile users.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so the best exercises for to deliver through mobile are going to be the ones that are simple and useful. So as I mentioned during the presentation, there are some limitations to audio-visual demonstration in a mobile app, and so I think both for the reason that more complex exercises may be more difficult to do based on watching a video, as well as the other reason that the audience that really needs the guidance are the beginners. I would really suggest looking at making sure that your beginner exercise library of the simple exercises is robust.
And how many tiers do you typically build in, and how many exercises do you typically incorporate?
So when you say tiers, I'm not sure I understand.
So let's say a beginner, a novice, an
Ah,
intermediate, an expert. So do you tier the exercises based on difficulty? How do you organize the exercises within the app to deliver that content to the member?
yeah. I get your question. So yeah, discovery for coaching, in my opinion, needs to revolve around suggesting workouts. And that is if the user is not engaged with the trainer already, in which case the trainer is going to be prescribing the workouts to the user. But if that's not the case, then I think the best approach is preferably personalized, but if not, just suggestions of what good workouts are for that user type. So if it's a beginner, if it's an intermediate, if it's an expert, I can't imagine using more than 3 tiers would be helpful. So I would limit it to that.
Awesome. Thanks, John.
Yep.
Attendees, this is your chance to pose questions to your presenter today. Please use the question interface inside of the control panel. And John, I got a follow-up question from Emily who asks, with the app, how does the group fitness schedule work? Does it sync from the facility's website or does it have to be entered separately?
So it syncs from the facility's member management software system typically. So we have integrations with many of the largest member management software systems, including your host's Motionsoft. And so because of that integration, we are able to grab the data right out of their systems where it's hosted. If you're using a third-party system, we would just have to check and see if we have it integrated or not. We do have some third-party systems integrated as well.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Maybe if you could just give us a another quick review of the white label app ruling now from Apple, and again, what clubs are going to need to be doing, especially for clubs that are using event apps to push out their schedules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really think any action is necessary at this point. If you already have one, like I said, you're fine. If you don't have one yet, then and you were planning to speak to us or another vendor about getting a white label mobile app, then your next step is still the same, which is just to have that conversation. And I can promise you that there's going to be a good solution for you, whatever segment you fall into in terms of your budget and size and complexity.
Fantastic. One follow-up question for Mickey again, and thank you, Mickey, for your questions today. She'd like to know if you're integrated with CSI.
We are not currently integrated with CSI. We would like to, so I think it's a possibility for the future, but that's just me talking. So,
well, John, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on and being with us today. It's always a pleasure having you here at the Motionsoft Technology Summit webinar series. Any final closing thoughts here before we end our session today?
No, I just want to thank everybody for attending, and I hope that it was an interesting tech topic. And of course, anyone who wants more information specifically on the Netpulse product, I would love to hear from you and be able to set you up with someone to demo the app for you and take you through all the features and functionality in detail.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much, John. Attendees, I'll be sending out a link with the video recording of this session, as well as the links to register for the 2018 Motionsoft Technology Summit and next week's October 24th webinar session with eGym. Thank you for joining us today, and have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.